PwC or PricewaterhouseCoopers. So our presentation will outline the company background, organizational culture, and also about the recruitment process, job designing, training, and also the management of performance, and also the compensation and retention. And we will close with some current HR trends. So I know most of you probably have heard of PwC before. Yes. We know them as one of the big four accounting firms, the others being Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. Currently, PwC operates in 158 countries, 721 locations, and has more than 230,000 employees. In 2017, they actually became the 5th largest privately owned company in the USA. And for their revenue, their revenue actually comes from 3 main practices, which are insurance, tax, and advisory in that order. They currently serve 420 of 500 Fortune Global companies in industries such as banking, healthcare, energy, mining, oil and gas, and more. So you can see that it's a very, very big globalized company. PwC in Thailand, however, has been established for 60 years with more than 2,000 employees in the Bangkok-based office. They work and organize into industries, so the team is separated into different industries in order to share the latest research and have a more in-depth understanding of each industry in order to help their clients. They also pride themselves of having this global connection, so they can kind of ask their global offices to help with in-depth knowledge in each industry, such as like taxing. So we go on to talk about the company values, and I actually have a short video to explain what PwC values are.
Here at PwC, we know we're responsible for guiding our people, clients, and communities through this constant change. How do we engage the more than 220,000 people across 157 countries in the PwC network? Through a clear and simple purpose, to build trust in society and solve important problems. What that really means is, in between our morning coffees and our evening commutes home, we all live and breathe the same core values. Here they are, the 5 things that make us, us. We act with integrity. We speak up for what's right, even when it's the harder option. We make a difference. We stay informed and proactively look for ways to better our world. We care about each other, about our clients and stakeholders, about empowering everyone to do their best. We work together. We know feedback, collaboration, and diverse perspectives help us deliver the highest quality outcomes. We reimagine the possible. Nothing great ever came from sticking with the status quo. We always challenge ourselves to innovate. Our values make us who we are and will help propel us toward the legacy we've envisioned for the future. A sentiment Sam and his horse would have definitely stood behind.
Okay, so you can see that they have 5 key values, and it's very straightforward and easy to understand. And why is it important to have good values or very clear direction value? It's because it actually outlines the principle and the beliefs of the company. So not only that the employees understand and can buy into, but also its customers understand where they stand and differentiate them from their competitors. So the values actually lay the groundwork for organizational culture, and Pak will talk more about this.
Okay, so next I'll talk about organization culture. So as I am an ex-PwC, here's what I think is some of the outstanding culture that we have. First, integrity. As we can see from the video previously, integrity is the core value of auditing company. We have to be straightforward in our auditing process, and I think that this is the main strength of PwC. This culture makes outsiders see PwC as a professional and reliable company. Next, efficiency. So we often get rid of all unimportant process and simplify it all. This happens in every level of employee. We often feel annoyed when we see a complicated and time-consuming task. So I think that this culture could be both good or bad. The company reduce a lot of cost from this culture because employees will work the most out of the time that they have. But if the work is too tight or too much pressure, then they will have no time to relax and they might feel exhausted or burned out. Next, learning by doing. Most of the time we learn from doing the job on site. Training is never enough for us because we have so many type of clients and all of them have specific type of accounting transaction, so we have to learn along the way. And I think that this culture is another strength of the company. Normally, it's hard for many companies to make an employee feel that it's their own responsibility to do the job, even though no one has ever taught them before. But I think that most PwC employee feels proud that they could solve difficult problems by themselves and they are eager to learn. Next, I'll talk about recruitment process. So this is the source that PwC find employee from. So I divide it into internal and external. Internal source are internship program and introduced from existing employee. And for external campus recruitment, this is where they go to go roadshow in top university in Thailand and promote themselves. Students who are interested in the company will fill out application form right away. And second, direct email. This is where applicant apply directly to PwC email. And headhunter, normally they will search interesting person from LinkedIn and JobsDB. For recruitment process, so first HR will review the resume and then they do document screening and then they do knowledge test. So in this process, they will have different kind of paper tests for the applicant. So the test may be different each position. They may have English proficiency test or computer test. And for individual interview, so we have 3 types of interview. The applicant have to interview with HR and then hiring manager and then with partner for only some position. And if the candidate pass all the process, PwC will call them to sign employment contract. So this is about exit process. So if employee want to resign from the company, first they will have to talk to their current manager that they want to leave, and after this they will have to follow exit step. So they also have to talk to planning department to move their schedule to another person. And then they have exit interview with HR, mainly about reason for leaving. And last thing, after the employee leave, HR will gather all the information, and if the cause of resignation is related to workplace or organization problem, HR team will report this to manager for future improvement.
Now I'm going to present job design and planning topic. PwC is one of the organizations designing the challenging job with stimulate motivation for the employees. It can be applied in several methods. The first one is job rotation. The main job of the employee is to audit the company financial statement. They are assigned to complete a job every 2 weeks. This means that they are rotated to the new client office to perform a new job after the previous job done. So they are able to improve various skills all the time. The next one is job enrichment. PwC provides the authority to workers to assign up to design the work process to complete one job. So they lead to the motivation because they tend to be satisfied when making decisions. The last one is telework. Most employees work away from a centrally located office. Normally they work at the client office and come back to headquarters after getting the job done. In addition, the company provides IT support team that help to solve problems immediately. Therefore, the worker can perform efficiently. For job planning, PwC has 4 key rules in audit work. The first one is partner who provide job to manager. The manager has the responsibility to plan and distribute tasks to team members and review all or complete job and give feedback to the team member to help them to learn more and perform the better work. Let's move on to the next topic, training and employee development. This table shows the difference between training and development. Training focuses on helping employees improve their performance of the current position, whereas development focuses on the future perspective to prepare employees for the other position in the organization. Let's take a look at this slide. PwC learning culture is based on the 70-20-10 principle. 70% of the learning comes from learning by doing, 20% from learning from author, and 10% from formal learning. For learning by doing, PwC believes that the most effective method to learning is being on the job. So the company offers a deep dive into challenging business case with real clients while working in a different team and industries. Learning from author provides employees with coaching. Coach is the person who guides employees, provide feedback, and support when needed. Formal learning is class and online course to foster core skill and technical expertise. Let's turn to career development at PwC. The company provides a supportive environment which allows workers to take some control over planning of their development. It consists of 4 approaches. The first one is interpersonal relationship, which promote career counseling and advice. The second one is formal education, which include workshop, short course, and lecture by experts. The job experience gives employees the opportunity to use their expertise to earn the job experience. And the last one is assessment. It provides regular feedback to enable effective development. Okay, now let's turn to the next slide.
Okay, now let's look at how PwC managing employee performance. We have to understand the performance management first. This is a process that managers use to ensure employees are working towards the organization goals through their activity and output. The effective performance management has various benefits for both employees and the organization, such as identify top performers, make employees feel valued, stimulate conversation between the employees and the manager, and also establish consistent standards to evaluate the performance of employees throughout the organization. Now, the performance management process can be viewed as a step into 6 steps. The first step is to define performance outcome of the company division and department. Then develop employee goals, behavior, and action to achieve outcome. After that, the company provides support and ongoing performance discussion. Then evaluate the performance and identify improvement needed. Lastly, the company will provide consequence for performance result. Now, let's look at how PwC measuring the performance. Since PwC has developed a professional framework to form a set of expectations across the company, those performance attributes included leadership, business insight, technical expertise, global intelligence, and relationship. PwC manager will score their team members on these performance attributes in order to determine their ranking. Now, let's look at how they gain the performance information. The source of things to be able to accurately measure employee performance and avoid any bias. Performance information can be gathered from various possible sources such as manager, peer, subordinate, themselves, and customer. Some organizations would use a performance measurement called 360-degree performance appraisal that combine information from all mentioned sources for a complete performance assessment. At PwC, for a yearly performance appraisal, employee will conduct a self-evaluation before submitting to manager for review. Additionally, employees are being provided with access to 360-degree evaluation program, which can be used to evaluate partner or manager at any time. But this option is not mandatory. Now let's look at the compensation and employee retention. Since PwC is one among the Big Four accounting firms, a competition for the best employee are very high. So PwC offer various benefits and compensation, including a high rate of salary, a medical benefit, a staff party, and company outing. The company also pour a large sum of its costs into trying to improve the life of its employee. Also, PwC use Global People Survey or GPS as a people engagement index to see if the people are engaged and happy to be with the firm or not. Okay. Here we can see there are 4 aspects that they measure, which is satisfaction, pride, advocacy, and commitment. Next day we talk about training.
Thanks. Now, since we only have 5 minutes, I'll skip over a couple of these things, but I'll have a look at some current HR trends and how they pertain to PwC. So I think, as we all know, Thailand is in an aging economy. So statistics from the World Bank suggest that by 2040, which is, I just realized, only 20 years away, there will be 17 million Thais over the age of 65. At the moment, it's about 10 million. A quarter of the population will have retired. So just 10 years ago, that was 5%. So that's a big increase. And there'll be an 11% drop in the working age population. So that is actually just the fastest rate in East Asia. Thailand's facing the problem that, as a middle income economy, it's going to become old before it becomes rich. So I think though for a firm like PwC, we've heard about how it's quite innovative, how it's dynamic, how it's trying to keep its employees motivated. I think they will continue to attract top-end talent a lot more than low and middle-end companies. So they, even in an aging society, they'll still continue attracting good applicants. But an aging society is not just about a diminishing workforce, it's about your existing workforce also getting older. So this is going to mean that there's going to be increased demand for more retirement planning, or dealing with rising demands for family and healthcare within the company. So I think PwC especially will have to deal with this. Paternity and maternity leave. That is when you have a baby, you get, fathers and mothers get some time off. For PwC, in some countries, the paternity and maternity leave for their employees is up to 12 months, but in Thailand is only 3 months still. So this is going to be something, as there are rising, older workers having more and more children, they're likely to start demanding more and more leave. Another is work-life balance. Right? When we get older, we tend not to be willing to work 12, 15 hours per day, which, if you guys know much about the reputation of PwC, the younger graduates there who are just starting don't have a good work-life balance. So it's probably likely that this is going to be unacceptable further on as the workforce gets older. Another is some companies in Thailand are already providing childcare centres for their workers, for their parents, and this is something that PwC at present does not have. We also have the issue of other, when you have an older workforce, they tend to get sick more and more often. They're going to demand more insurance, more time off, more sick days for them and their families. 2 minutes left, Ajahn? let's say 1 minute? Okay, from some of my research, I'll just look at one of these things. We'll look at this diversity, equality, and harassment. So from my research, most countries in Asia haven't had to deal with this issue of diversity, equality, and harassment as it's being dealt with in the West so far. But if you guys look at the global spread of this Me Too movement, it's, once issues of diversity and harassment, sexual harassment in the workplace start to open up, they move very quickly. Once you hear one person speak out about it, it is more and more people are willing to talk about it. So again, this is an issue that PwC and other companies in Thailand and in Southeast Asia more broadly are going to have to deal with it. Their human resource teams are going to have to find ways to deal with potentially decades of sexual harassment allegations while not disrupting too much of business operations. So we're already starting to see this in Thailand at the moment. There are advocates coming out and speaking about sexual harassment. So this is the Women and Men Progressive, what is it called? Women and Men Progressive Movement Foundation, which came out, I think, late last year, talking to try and get a senior Ministry of Health official removed from his post. My time is up. You can read this. All right, 1 minute extra. Actually, in Thailand, we just talk about equality here. In Thailand, there are so many cases of high-profile women CEOs and business leaders. And that's, I think, credit to Thailand for this, but statistically, Thai women still fall behind in most key indicators. So you can see here, board positions and senior positions, only less than a quarter of these positions are women. We've learned in this class about the importance of diversity, and we learned in our finance class as well about the importance of diversity in company boards. And so this will have to be dealt with in the future as well. Women make 15% less than men for the same work. To their credit, this is something that PwC has been dealing with, and in their company values books, they've talked about how they promote inclusion and promote diversity in their workforces. So you guys can read my report when we send this to you next week about these other ones. So thank you guys for your time, and good luck to the next speakers.
Question from this group. Can you go back to previous slide? Actually, I have a couple of questions, but I will begin with the HR trends. When you talk about the portion of female in board or in senior position, actually there's number that it seems like this is not a big issue in Thailand compared to other parts around the world, which is have less number than this. And therefore, I would like you to probably look at your issue that have relevance, something more relevant in Thailand. For example, like this issue of sexual harassment. Come on, in PwC in Thailand, I think 80% are female employees, and the rest we're not sure if it's female or male. I don't think that sexual harassment is going to be an issue in PricewaterhouseCoopers. Because when we talk about sexual harassment, maybe, but actually it's not about gender per se. It's about person who in higher position that take advantage for a person that in lower position. But anyway, since we have a lot of female in organization and most of them single, so I don't think that this is like issue that big concern, major concern. Therefore, or even when you talk about like aging society, which is a nuisance in Thailand, but when you link aging society with something like paternity leave or maternity leave, and again, we have like a lot of single people work in accounting firms.
That's why I mentioned the work-life balance. So we have a lot of single people because maybe they can't get out of their job to be able to find a boyfriend or find a girlfriend. So this work-life balance is quite important. And once you have that work-life balance, then people will start having families.
Do you think that if they have time, they can find boyfriend and girlfriend? In Thailand, I doubt that.
Well, I think if we took a straw poll of this class,
we
most people would have.
We don't have enough supply. But anyway.
I don't know. Well, that's true. I think 52% of the Thai population is female, but there are an excess. There are an excess of some 65 million Chinese men and 85 Indian men that you can look to if you can't find a boyfriend in Thailand.
But in Thailand, even though we have less male, But for the less that have high quality, most of them are gay.
Yeah.
So but anyway.
Go to Australia as well. Very good high quality.
So that have to
Why he don't mention about the Japanese and the Korean?
But anyway, my point is that when you do, which is I think it's a good idea. When you talk about something that is current issue, but it's it will, I'm giving you feedback because I think it's gonna benefit your report.
Sure.
So this is something that you can probably add or probably change something in your report. That
Take that on.
try to make it more relevant in you that's about your whole organization. Should not be general or one textbook. Textbook is one thing which is good, but another thing is that I think this is benefit that you do MBA in Thailand. Not only that you know what's going on, like international issue, but you have a chance to address the issue that's specific in your own environment that you are working for. Therefore, this is something that I would like to see, one thing. And another thing, actually, when we talk about accounting firm, major issue is about turnover rate, right? Some of you are ex PwC, which is, we all know that for accounting firm have very high turnover rate. So this is something that if you would like to make contribution, you probably add in your report that how can you address that issue. Even though they pay very good in terms of compensation, they have very good policy, but how come they have high turnover and how can they deal with that issue? All right, and other things, I think that it's good that you talk about training and development. However, make sure that you will understand what you are talking about. For example, when you mention something like career counselor as an interpersonal relationship in type of development, it is not. When you talk about career counselor, it is under assessment. Therefore, when you talk about each issue, make sure that you understand and you can link those issues together. And also in terms of source of recruitment, from internship and also referral. I don't think that internship and referral we consider as internal source. Those are outside people. They are external source. In the other one, try to make it, put it in the right place. In the concept that we have learned. I have one question that we talk about organizational culture. We talk about values. Are there any gaps between espoused values and enacted values in PwC? You understand? Are there any gaps between espoused values and enacted values? You can answer this question if you understand what is espoused values and enacted values, and you should include that in your report. Okay, if you cannot answer it right now, make sure that you answer that in your report. Okay, so next, thank you.